Alright, so I'm going to be reviewing the new One Punch Man Season 2 OVA that just came out, and it's actually pretty short. It's only like 12 minutes long, I think, and I don't know why that is. I also don't know how many of these there's going to be. I think there might be another one, probably. I didn't even know that this was going to come out so soon. I thought it was only going to be released on the Blu-ray in March or something like that, but I don't really understand all the logistics of this. But I did happen to see it, so let me talk about it. So I enjoyed it. I like this one. It reminds me so much of like what an audiobook pretty much is, and that begs the question is like, did one write this? I don't know. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't, maybe he gave them notes or something, but it feels like it came from one. I mean, it's not like a banger, but it is pretty funny. It has some cute moments to it. So the OVA basically revolves around these three dudes who all met online on a forum for people with abilities, and that's pretty interesting. So it's giving us more insight into like the actual world, and that there are people out there, you know, besides just like heroes that have been born with abilities. This is like what Dr. Jenos talks about in chapter 88, how there's like a stark contrast between those who become monsters and those who are just born with supernatural abilities. And I think the whole power dynamic between all of this and the, you know, the etherealness of it is all kind of tied together. There's just like a line separating them. So these three guys were just somehow blessed with these powers. And I thought there was going to be like some kind of gag element to them. Like, oh, they have like some kind of mechanism that gives them an ability. Kind of like how Blue Flame, that A-class hero that fought Garo at the beginning of Season 2 had. He had like a mechanism. But no, these guys just legitimately have supernatural abilities, which is pretty cool. Now, they're not powerful, of course. They're pretty comical. So let's go into them. So the first guy, Blaze, the tank top wearing dude with like red hair. He has fire powers. He can just straight up shoot fire out of his hands. And then there's Shivers, the dude with the beanie, and his power is Ice Breath, which is kind of a misnomer, but I'll go into that. And then there's Animal Lover, who looks like a nerdy Bakuzan, and he can control animals somehow. He's basically like Koda from My Hero. And then Saitama's there. Coincidentally, he's just randomly in this bathroom that these guys were going to. They were going to meet another guy with abilities from the forum, but he didn't show up and Saitama was there. Just by chance, he reveals at the end of the OVA that he was just walking randomly and he had to take a dump, so he found that place. So, you know, he reveals that he's a hero, and then they get into a scuffle because they're kind of like trying to become villains, and then that's when we see their abilities. So the Blaze guy, he shoots his fire, and it's like, it's portrayed in comical fashion, which is pretty funny because it's like super serious to them. But then, like, when we get to Saitama's perspective, it's just, like, kids playing, essentially. And his fire is nothing special, you know? It's like, well, I mean, if in real life, it would be incredible. I mean, basically, he's shooting, like, one of those Tesla flamethrowers out of his hands, which is pretty cool, but, like, in this world, it's just nothing. And then Shivers, his ice breath isn't really breath, because it comes out of his hands, but I guess because it's breath-like, he calls it that. I don't know, but he still does have some kind of ice powers, which is interesting. And then the Animal Lover dude, he can summon animals. He can, like, summon 3 birds, but they're small and they land on Saitama's head and they don't do anything. But he still does have legitimate abilities, which is super interesting to me, at least. So then Blaze attacks again and he, like, sets Shivers' hat on fire in comical fashion. And then we see what Shivers' abilities can actually do because he uses, like, his freezing stuff to, like, to turn the dude's hand into a block of ice. Like, that's kind of significant. So, and then we see the Animal Lover guy summons, like, more birds than he did originally. Like, a whole bunch of little small birds, and he can actually make them, like, flap to generate, like, a gust of wind. So, like, these guys, they are comical and gaggy, but, like, they could be an asset to the Hero Association. I mean, at least in, like, the lower levels. Because even, like, C-class guys and even B-class guys don't have abilities like this. And if they do, they're assisted by some kind of weapon or mechanism or something. So, like, these guys just base right now could probably be, like, high C-class guys. And then with training, they could easily be B-class guys. And then if they got super serious, easily A-class guys. Just based off the potential of their abilities, especially like what Saitama says at the end when he's giving them advice. But then we also see like a cool little display of Saitama's power when he just flaps his cape and it generates like a huge gust of wind and it puts out the fire. I thought that was a cool little moment. And then they go on to, like, be down on themselves, and they say they suck and everything, and they start comparing themselves to pros and how they're artists, and they make a living out of it. And then we see, like, Fubuki and Tatsumaki, and that's a cool little frame. But then also, like, Volton is there. It's so random, because you have, like, Fubuki, Tatsumaki, and then just Volton. So I guess he's there because they were talking about martial artists. And I guess because he has, like, electrical powers, he relates to them. So that means Volton is just like these dudes. He's just one of those people that was born with these supernatural elemental abilities or whatever. And then we get a comical moment from Saitama when he's like, you guys thinking of becoming heroes by testing me, or are you fans? And then they're like, no, definitely not. We're not your fans. Which is hilarious because, you know, that's the whole little contrast with Saitama. That he wants fans, but at the same time he doesn't. And then, like, Saitama's saying that, like, you guys thinking of becoming heroes by testing me, it always leads me to wonder, like, how smart or how, like, in on things is Saitama actually. He reminds me so much of, like, Michael from The Office. And then randomly a monster shows up by the name of Dirtworm, and we don't see him at first. He's kind of just underground talking, and he's able to lift up, like, this huge wall of soil and dirt and pavement. And then we see before that he is implied to have destroyed, like, a subway car and, like, the tunnel around it. So this guy's pretty powerful. Now, given what happens at the end of the episode, I'll go into that. I'm thinking, like, this guy, I don't know, he could be, like, a low demon, maybe. I mean, that strength is pretty impressive. Like, I don't see, like, a tiger or a typical tiger being able to do something like that. Or maybe he could be the mythical above tiger. You know, that legendary class that is forbidden and we're not supposed to talk about it. But I'll go more into that in the end when we get to the reveal of this dude. So he drops the soil wall on Saitama, and of course it does nothing, and he stops it from falling on the three mediocre squad dudes, whatever they call themselves. And then Jenos comes up in response to the monster being there, and then we find out Saitama was there because, you know, he was just walking and he had to take a dump. And it's like, we get this funny little conversation, dialogue exchange between Saitama and Jenos, while, like, in the forefront, we see the three mediocre guys talking. But if you kind of just pay attention and you're able to catch the subtitles of them talking in the back, it's hilarious. Saitama's like, it was one of those you think you can't hold any longer, and then you feel you're okay. Like, what's with that? Like a stand-up bit or something. And then Jenos is like, I will ask Dr. Kusenu to explain the mechanism in detail, which is hilarious. Retort from Jenos here. And this reminds me so much of, like, an audiobook dialogue. More so than, like, a bonus chapter, because I've been listening to the audiobooks lately. I just made a video about a bunch of topics from them. Go check it out. Saitama Meets a Mind Mask. But I don't know, that's the kind of vibe I was getting from this. It's like almost like what an animated audiobook would be like. But then Jenos, like, asks who they are, and Saitama says they challenged him to a fight. And then the reaction from Jenos is hilarious. As soon as he finds out that these guys wanted to fight Saitama, he's like, Nani? And then they want to change to becoming heroes because they don't want to get vaporized by Jenos. And then they say that they're fans of Saitama, and then he randomly gets motivated to train them. This is, like, kind of like a rare instance from Saitama here because he usually doesn't want to do this type of stuff, but then he starts training them quickly. And he just puts them through, like, his actual training regimen, you know, the push-ups, the sit-ups, the squats, the running, and all that stuff, and then they get gassed immediately. And then, after this whole little debacle ends, we see the actual monster, and it turns out that he's just like a regular earthworm. Like, I guess a little bigger than what a typical one was, but he's nothing special. But also, he survived Saitama's punch! That's right! It doesn't matter how it happened, it doesn't matter if this is an OVA, this guy is going into the legendary, secret, forbidden, hidden, ultra-class league of beings who have survived a punch from Saitama. So not going into any spoiler stuff, we're talking about Boros, we're talking about Overgrown Rover. He is up there with them. He is now, and then the Mosquito too, if you want to throw him in there. That's debatable, but Dirtworm is up there. You can't take it away from him because it happened. And it turns out that the punch was just too massive to hit him. And even the shockwaves didn't vaporize him. That's pretty impressive. He survived Saitama's punch. I don't want to hear it. He did it. So, hey, I didn't make this. All right? I didn't want him to survive, but he did. And then a bird eats him. So, yeah, he's very weak in that department. But he's very strong offensively. So that goes back to what I was saying. Like, It seems like he has the strength of what a low demon could have. And then, like, the way that he moves underground, that's pretty cool, too. But, like, I guess he's like a glass cannon in a way. So he could be, like, above Tiger. Because I think he's way too strong to be just a typical Tiger or even a high Tiger, maybe. So maybe he's like above Tiger. Maybe he is the legendary above Tiger. I mean, he survived a punch from Saitama, so he's got to have something, right? But that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Yeah, this was only 12 minutes, and I talked a lot about it. Why not? It's an OVA. I didn't even know we were going to get this stuff, so let's just talk about it way too much. But if you liked it, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon that gives you access to a weekly Q&A, and if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.